Between February and November 2024, an event occurred in the global financial markets that future historians will call the Great Exodus. It was not a loud crashing collapse that screamed across the headlines. It happened quietly, in closed-door boardroom discussions and through massive coordinated sell orders. The world's wealthiest individuals, the very architects of the modern financial system, began synchronously shedding the assets that had made them rich. They sold over $50 billion worth of stock. This wasn't minor portfolio rotation. This was a strategic, synchronized move. Not to buy new superyachts, not for philanthropy, and certainly not for simple tax optimization. They are converting equity into hard cash. Jeff Bezos, the founder of the Amazon empire, sold $13 billion in shares. This is crucial. In the 30 years since he founded Amazon, he had never sold at this scale or with this speed. Even during the dot-com crash, even during the 2008 crisis, Bezos held. He sold around $10 billion in 2020 to fund Blue Origin, but that was spread over the entire year and during a period of market recovery. The 2024 sales are different, massive, concentrated, and executed while Amazon's valuation was hitting a staggering $2 trillion peak. Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Meta, offloaded $9 billion. Meta stock had more than tripled from its 2022 lows, fueled by efficiency gains and AI hype. At the absolute peak of this artificial exuberance, Zuckerberg is selling billions. His official reason? Funding the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. That's plausible, but Zuckerberg holds enough supervoting shares to maintain control forever. He could borrow against his shares at low interest rates to fund philanthropy. Instead, he's selling at the fastest pace of his career. That's not charity, that's exit timing. The Walton family, who own Walmart, dumped $2.3 billion. This family founded Walmart in 1962. They are generational holders who rarely move significant amounts of stock. The fact that the three Walton siblings executed massive coordinated sales within months of each other, right when Walmart stock hit all-time highs, tells you that even the most conservative long-term builders are getting out. But the most terrifying signal came from Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Chase. This man has led America's largest bank for 18 years. He survived the 2008 financial crisis, the European debt crisis, and the COVID-19 pandemic. And in all those 18 years, he never sold a single significant share of his company's stock. He preached that CEO stock sales signal a lack of confidence. Yet in 2024, he pressed the sell button for the very first time, a sale valued at approximately $160 million. Why? What do they know that the public does not? The answer is simple and chilling. They have access to perfect information that is hidden from you. Jamie Dimon, more than any person alive, sees the real economy. He sees JP Morgan's loan default rates in real time, commercial real estate delinquencies, consumer credit charge-offs, corporate bankruptcies. This is proprietary, non-public data that will not appear in government statistics or news reports for months. And when insiders see trouble coming, they sell. The official explanations are flimsy covers. Bezos choosing 2024 for a tax move is market timing, not estate planning. This is the classic pump-and-dump playbook, executed on the scale of an entire economic epoch. We have seen this exact scenario play out twice in recent history. The insider sell-to-buy ratio has hit levels not seen since 2007. For every dollar insiders spend on buying their own company stock, they are selling $9 worth. In 2007, this ratio spiked to similar levels, leading directly to the 2008 crash, which destroyed $16 trillion in wealth. The current reading is the most extreme imbalance since 2007, and history shows that when this pattern occurs, a crash follows within 12 to 18 months. The smart money is quietly running for the exits, while the crowd is being told fairy tales about a soft landing and endless growth fueled by artificial intelligence. Imagine you are in a theater. The play is ongoing, the music is playing, but you notice the owners are quietly slipping out the back door. They are not running so as not to cause a panic. They are leaving, taking the box office receipts with them. This is what is happening right now. The elite knows the party is over. The only question is whether you get out before the roof collapses. To truly grasp the scale of the impending crisis, we must abandon emotional forecasts and look at the cold, hard mathematics of the situation. This is precisely how billionaires think. They do not guess. They analyze historical patterns and economic indicators that reveal the truth behind the headlines. And right now, 5 critical historical patterns are flashing bright red, proving this exodus is warranted. Pattern number 1, the Buffett indicator at 185%. Buffett himself calls this the best single measure of where valuations stand. This ratio measures the total market capitalization of the stock market against the country's gross domestic product, GDP. Historically, a ratio of 80% to 100% is fair value. Above 150% is undeniable bubble territory. Today, in 2025, the Buffett indicator sits at 185%. This is an all-time historical high, exceeding even the peak of the 2007 bubble. The market is valued at nearly double the economy's output. For this level to be sustainable, you must believe one of two fantasies. Either the economy will grow 50% in the next year, which is impossible, or corporate profit margins will continue to expand indefinitely, which they cannot. Profit margins are already at record highs. There is simply no room left to grow. The math is relentless. A reversion to the mean is inevitable. A drop from 185% back to the historical average of 100% means stocks must fall 46%. The billionaires see this calculation, and they are moving first. Pattern number 2, the Shiller P/E ratio at 34. The Shiller P/E, or CAPE ratio, smooths out economic cycles by comparing stock prices to 10 years of inflation-adjusted earnings, providing a long-term valuation view. The historical average is 16. Today, the Shiller P/E is 34. Only 2 times in history has it been higher, 1929 and the peak of the dot-com bubble in 2000. Every single time this ratio has exceeded 30, a major market crash followed within 3 years. We are at 34 right now. This means that stocks are pricing in nearly double the long-term historical profitability. The insiders know history. They know that gravity is about to reassert itself. They are selling into the 3rd greatest bubble on record. Pattern number 3, margin debt at dangerous levels. This is the systemic risk factor. Margin debt is the money investors borrow to buy stocks, effectively using leverage. This debt currently sits at a staggering $950 billion, near all-time records. This is the kindling for the fire. While the market is rising, margin debt amplifies the gains, allowing investors to double or triple their profits. But the moment the market reverses, a single down day can trigger a devastating margin call. This forces millions of investors to sell their stocks at any price to cover their loans, creating a cascading, self-reinforcing liquidation event. In 2008, the collapse of margin debt accelerated the crash, forcing $570 billion in sales in 18 months. Today, the debt bomb is even bigger. This massive leverage ensures that once the decline starts, it will be swift, violent, and unstoppable. Pattern number 4, the commercial real estate time bomb. This is the hidden crisis that Jamie Dimon is fleeing, and it's a direct threat to the banking system. Due to the shift to permanent remote work, office buildings across major U.S. cities sit 40 to 50% vacant. These properties were purchased at peak prices with low-interest mortgages of 3 or 4%. Now, those mortgages are maturing, meaning they must be paid off or refinanced at drastically higher interest rates of 7 or 8%. The owners cannot afford the payments because the buildings are half empty, and the property values have plummeted by 30 to 40%. They simply hand the keys back to the bank. Jamie Dimon sees the massive loan defaults that are about to hit the banking sector. The CRE market faces a colossal $1.5 trillion refinancing wall in the coming years, and defaults will wipe out mid-sized and regional banks, leading to mass insolvency. This is the toxic asset of the 2020s, and the smart money is fleeing the banks holding the bag. Pattern number 5, the corporate debt refinancing crisis. The Federal Reserve's decade of near-zero interest rates allowed U.S. corporations to accumulate a mountain of debt, totaling $13.5 trillion. Much of this was borrowed at artificially low rates of 2 or 3%. These bonds are now maturing and must be refinanced at 6 to 8%. Companies that could barely afford 3% interest cannot afford 7%. The results are already appearing. Corporate bankruptcies in 2024 have reached levels not seen since the Great Recession of 2010. Over $4.7 trillion in corporate bonds are maturing between 2024 and 2026. If 10% of those companies default, which is a conservative estimate, that's almost $500 billion in losses, accelerating the credit crunch and causing stock prices to plummet. The billionaires running these firms see their own balance sheets. They know which ones are insolvent, and they are selling their shares before the wave of defaults hits the public. The lack of cheap debt means the growth engine is seizing up. The ultimate pattern, the government debt spiral. This is the final undeniable pattern that guarantees the crash will be followed by a prolonged currency crisis. The U.S. national debt is spiraling out of control at over $36 trillion. Annual interest payments alone are projected to hit $1.8 trillion by 2027, more than the combined spending on defense and Medicare. This is a mathematical dead end. The government cannot raise taxes or cut spending enough to close this gap without causing a social breakdown. The only remaining path is to print trillions of new dollars. The billionaires know that this debt spiral ends in one of two ways: either a catastrophic sovereign debt crisis or a guaranteed collapse in the purchasing power of the dollar. That is why they are not just selling stocks, they are converting paper assets into hard assets, land, commodities, and gold. They are preparing for a world where the currency itself is no longer trustworthy. This is the final stage of the collapse of financial confidence, a phenomenon repeated in every dying empire throughout history. They are securing their wealth against the devaluation that must follow. We have identified the sell signal from the elite, and we have confirmed the inevitable based on the 5 critical mathematical patterns. The crash is coming, with the danger window confirmed for Q3 2025 through Q2 2026. The collapse will be a terrifying high-speed transfer of wealth, but you do not have to be a casualty. You can copy the exact strategy of the billionaires who are currently moving into position. They are not merely selling, they are preparing to buy back assets at a 50% discount. This is how generational wealth is made. They are swapping paper for power. Who wins and who loses? The biggest losers will be the middle class, whose wealth is primarily held in 401k retirement accounts and home equity. A near retiree with $800,000 saved, planning to retire in 2025, will see that figure instantly slashed to $400,000 when the market falls 50%. Your retirement window closes, your stability is destroyed. Millions of responsible savers will be wiped out by bad timing. The winners are the billionaire insiders who sold high, like Bezos, who can buy back twice as many shares for the same money, and those who hold hard, reliable assets. Here are the 5 steps you must take now to position for survival and profit. Step 1. Reduce equity exposure and raise cash, the liquidity shield. The primary goal is capital preservation. If your portfolio is 80% stocks, you must strategically and systematically reduce it to 40 or 50%. This is the essence of the smart money move. You must prioritize keeping what you have. Yes, you might miss a final fleeting 10% gain if the bubble extends, but you will preserve 50% of your capital when the crash hits. Cash is your liquidity shield. When stocks crash 50%, your cash has just doubled its purchasing power relative to those assets. This dry powder is what allows you to buy assets at distressed prices and create generational wealth. Do not fear inflation now, fear the deflationary collapse of equity and debt first. The market is about to offer assets at fire sale prices, and only those with cash will be able to shop. Step 2. Acquire gold and hard assets, the insurance policy. The crash is the first event, the currency crisis is the inevitable second. When the Fed inevitably prints trillions to bail out the failing financial system and backstop the collapsing CRE and corporate debt, that money printing will lead to massive dollar devaluation. Gold is insurance against monetary chaos. It preserves purchasing power when fiat currency fails. Allocate 10 to 15% of your investable capital to physical gold or stable, fully backed precious metals ETFs. In 2008, gold initially dipped but then soared, doubling in value between 2008 and 2011. It will perform this function again as a safe haven when trust in government bonds and currency collapses. You must protect yourself from the final destructive act of currency debasement. Step 3. Create your crisis buy list, the opportunity map. Do not allow panic to dictate your actions. Prepare your purchase list now. Identify high-quality, dividend-paying companies with low debt and an essential recession-proof product. Firms like Microsoft, Costco, Johnson & Johnson, and Visa. These companies cannot be destroyed by a recession. They simply become cheaper. When the crash comes and the news is terrifying, everyone will be selling. You must be ready to buy. When a stock like Microsoft, which controls the digital infrastructure of the world, drops 40%, that is your opportunity to deploy the cash you raised in step 1. Your buy list is your roadmap to systematically profiting from the recovery. The greatest fortunes are made when assets are cheap, not when they are expensive. Step 4. Protect your income and build a cash reserve, the defense. A financial crisis is always accompanied by a severe recession and widespread job losses. Your highest priority is protecting your primary source of income and ensuring your household's defense system is impenetrable. Build an emergency fund of 12 months' expenses in a high-yield savings account or short-term treasury bills. This cash reserve ensures that if you lose your job, and unemployment will likely surge past 10%, you will not be forced to sell your investments, including your gold, at the very bottom just to pay the mortgage or buy groceries. This defensive posture is critical to weathering the storm without catastrophic personal loss. Furthermore, strengthen your local economic network. This is the true antidote to a centralized financial collapse. Step 5. Psychological preparation, the mental armor. This is the most critical step. The market crash will be a psychological war. The media will run 24/7 crisis coverage, featuring panicked experts and terrifying headlines. Your retirement account will be down 50%. You will feel an overwhelming, irrational urge to sell everything to stop the pain. You must prepare your mind now to resist this urge. Understand that the drop is a necessary and predictable part of the cycle. Remind yourself that you raised cash precisely for this moment. The transition from the age of decadence to the age of chaos is excruciating, but it creates the conditions for the next age of pioneers. When the public is panicking, you must act rationally. When they are selling, you must be buying. The billionaire exodus has begun. They sold 50 billion because they saw the undeniable patterns. They are telling you, with their actions, that the top is in. You have a choice. Ignore the signal and gamble on luck, or recognize the pattern and position accordingly. The next 12 to 18 months will change everything. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, because in the next video, I will show you exactly what will happen to the banking system and your deposits in the first 72 hours after the crash begins. Time is running out. Act now.